Hello and welcome. This is rooflemonger, my friends. We got more Street Fighter news and footage for you, thanks to Capcom TV, one of Capcom's presentation live streams. So during this stream, they showcased some Street Fighter 6 and a lot of Mega Man Battle Network, which I'm not as much into, but definitely into Street Fighter 6. And we got 3 matchups that just give us a little bit more knowledge of what's going on. We had Manon versus Dee Jay, Marisa versus JP, and we had Honda versus Dhalsim, and we've not seen much of those two characters at all lately, so that was very interesting. Now, just a note, for the most part, they've been playing on dynamic controls, and these aren't exactly Evo champions presenting here, so please forgive them for that. But still, there is a good amount of info to gain from this. So right now we're on Manon versus Dee Jay. Let's rewind just a little bit here and go through what's pretty interesting about these matchups. So first off, we've seen it before, but I just want to say Dee Jay's stage actually looks really, really cool. I'm a big fan of it. Now, once again, they're on dynamic controls, so kind of hitting buttons. That is Dee Jay's drive impact. So looks pretty good, looks pretty long range. And now our first thing right there. You may notice that Manon is doing a bit of a ballerina spin, but no, not much of a attack attached to it, right? So this could be a fireball bypass move. Like I can just spin through your fireballs, like say Vega's V skill in Street Fighter V, or even Abel's roll, right, in Street Fighter 4. The fireball game is pretty strong in Street Fighter 6, but handling fireballs for the most part has been left to the universal mechanics like drive impact or parry, stuff like that. Less so we've seen specific anti-fireball moves versus Street Fighter 5, which was like absolutely rotten with anti-fireball moves. As far as we know, anti-fireball right now, Honda does retain his clap, so I'm assuming that destroys fireballs, and that's kind of about it, at least off the top of my head. So who actually knows, right? But this reads to me as an anti-fireball move. She has a little bit of wind around her. Reads to me like, oh, I can go through an attack. Whatever it is, though, it definitely can't go through grabs, as Dee Jay grabs her and kind of boots her in the face. His throw animation is a bit odd, actually. I don't know if it's fully complete, but it just doesn't read as well as some of the other animations in the game. Now, another thing that stands out here is Dee Jay's got those big normals. So you can see his stand heavy kick here. And that's hitting from pretty far away. That looks pretty good. So definitely good space control button at bare minimum. Next up, we can see Manon's regular throw. So once again, she's a judo practitioner, and this is very much a judo style throw, to say the least. Sweeping your leg out and then giving you an old-fashioned dunk. Now coming up here, we see Dee Jay's machine gun blow. And it doesn't look like he might have had enough time to charge it, but the thing is, they're also on dynamic controls, which is basically like the mash and you get auto combos system, right? So that's one of the mysteries right now, if he will remain a charge character. But unfortunately, because they're on dynamic controls, I just can't really trust it as it stands. Because I feel like even if there was charge moves, you just smash on dynamic controls and it just gives you the moves anyways. So we'll wait and see on that, but ever since Street Fighter V, they've definitely been taking charge away from characters like Charlie and Vega, and that trend may continue into Street Fighter 6. Next up here, we see Manon do a stand light punch, which counter hits and goes into her big wheel kick. We do know the EX version of that is a launcher specifically, and goes into a level 1 super, which we haven't seen before, and completely whiffs. She just kind of slides forward. It reminds me a lot of Kula Diamond's super, actually, just minus all the ice. We can see here as well, stand heavy kick, good range, and has a spin out on punish counter. Some moves have additional effects on punish counter only, and with the spin out, that means she'll be able to get a combo follow-up. Also, more spins. This is not pre-planned because dynamic control just picks moves for you as you hit buttons. But since it does pick it as a button, also maybe could go through strikes, potentially. But once again, wait and see. Now, here's where things get really interesting. So you may recall Manon has a level up system. That is her metal level. It's actively on the screen. You can see it here under her health bar. So currently it's at 1 stock, level 1. And the icon's a cute little judo thing where dude's throwing another dude. And here we see Manon landing her command grab. So there's quite a few things to note of it. Not the least of which is once it completes, the level goes up to 2. So how do we build up the metal level? Well, it looks like by tossing people. And keep in mind too, the metal level, which boosts her throws, also persists between rounds. So if this is earned on round 1, it'll be there round 2, it'll be there round 3. You may also notice that this is not the same grab we saw from the previous trailer. More of a judo grab than the ballerina toss that we saw before. And we'll go into that in a second here. And also, it's a bit of a ranged grab. She lunges forward just a little bit before the grab connects. So it's like a running bear grab or something like that from Zangief, but it's a good deal faster. By frame counting, it's 10 frames. In Street Fighter V, for reference, throws command grabs are usually about 5 frames, although the ones that advance are a lot slower than 10 frames. So advancing very fast for advancing, and it builds the level. Now here's the thing, because we're going to skip forward just a little bit. Later in the video, she goes for the grab again, and she's level 2, and now it goes to level 3. And it's kind of hard to one-to-one this here, but just superimposing over, the damage looks to be just a little bit higher. Not going to call this hyper-accurate science here, right? But that is the level 1 below the current footage, and it looks like it is less damage. So that's level 2, but we also see the grab at level 3. Now here is the same grab at level 3, same startup, but whoa! It is now the big ballerina grab we saw from the trailer. So things have changed. Looks like once you hit the metal level to level 3, the actual grab itself gets an all-new animation. And also to go back for damage comparison to that level 1, the level 3 version also does significantly more damage. So the more you level up the metal level, and yes, doing the move also moved her metal level up to level 4, the more you do it, the more and more and more damage your command grabs will do, and also at some point the animation also changes. Maybe at, say, level 5, it gets another all-new animation again. Who knows, but given the fact that we know the move changes once you level it up, it could be at max level, whatever that is, we get the ultimate Doomsday Dunk. There could be other properties that change as well, such as, say, the frame data itself. Like, maybe she recovers just a little bit quicker. But yeah, so we now see it in action. This is Manon's metal system. And there could very well be moves besides the grab itself that also raise the level, so I guess we'll find out in time. Also here, once again, so Dee Jay did a standing normal into machine gun punch. No charge, obviously, but once again, dynamic controls. We'll wait and see. I like charge characters, so I just don't want charge to go away. Now, for the rest of the footage, there's not too much going on. That's the level 1 again, connecting this time. That's interesting. And the thing is, once again, dynamic controls. People are just kind of hitting buttons. The characters are sort of playing themselves. But you know what? That's fine as well. This mode, it's probably not for you if you're on this channel watching this video. But I'm sure it'll make a lot of kids happy who just want to mash and get some cool stuff done. So here is command grab again. This is where we skip forward. This is the old animation. And once again, she built up to level 3. So the next time she lands it, we get the new leveled up animation with the bigger ballerina spin, as you can see right here. And then we got this thing. So, yo, Adon, I didn't know you made it into Street Fighter 6, because this looks a lot like a Jaguar kick, although much more fancy and ballerina-like, I suppose. But yeah, having this kind of move in any fighting game that just hops over lows and all that kind of stuff usually winds up being pretty decent, so definitely a value add for Manon. And to end out the match, we have this double kick combo. So could be a target combo, I don't know. It is 2 hits. The second hit does look a bit like an overhead, just given the angle, but it is a move we haven't seen from her just yet. And that is the Manon versus Dee Jay footage. So let's skip ahead and let's look at JP versus Marisa. So Marisa versus JP. First thing here, the pre-fight intro. You can see her Spartans, her Greek warriors are there with her, which is cool. And she's wearing the helmet, so I dig that. On brand for her crazy cosplay experiment. Now, once again, just like before, this is dynamic controls, not necessarily Evo Champs playing, so forgive the gameplay, but we can still learn quite a bit. So out of the gate, JP with a semi-projectile. We did see this footage previously, this move previously, but it hit point blank. So it does have at least some travel distance. So we can definitely use this as basically like a mid-screen poke, if you will. And you're going to be seeing more of this Psycho Power construct as well in this footage. So next up here, a bit of scrambling, and we can see Marisa's drive impact, and it's about as subtle as a sledgehammer, which is what you'd want out of her, for sure. If you're into Marisa, you're not there because you want a tricky character, right? After all, JP is that dude, and we can see him here doing his basic throw, which is, ow, that hurts. Next, we see Marisa with what looks like crouch heavy punch. The thing to note here, it does say punish counter, and it has an extra effect. It has a launch effect. So that means potential combos, although unfortunately the combo gets dropped here, but you get the idea, right? Also, due to the angle, kind of going straight up, it might be pretty good against jumps. Now, coming up is a very interesting move. We've seen this before, her counter. But the thing is, her counter obviously didn't get hit, and it has a follow-up anyways. So, for frame of reference from the earlier trailer, if you hit her during that initial startup, then, well, she gets you pretty good, right? Don't attack her while the flash is happening. Although, if it just plays out, then she still attacks anyway. So that's very, very interesting. The counterattack is not just a dead move if you happen to whiff it and don't have the enemy hit you while it's ongoing. Although, keep in mind, you can still get thrown out of the counter, so don't spam it or anything. Now, this next bit is very interesting, and it raises a few questions even. So, she goes into that big guard stance again and completely plows through and armors through JP's attack. And the thing is, she remains in the stance after. Right here, when he's about to hit her with a super, she went for that big kind of double-fisted overhead that we saw earlier. So basically, this is a stance, I guess. Like, you enter the stance, you can armor through a move, and perhaps you have multiple options from it. Like this big old headbutt while you're holding your guard up, right? So you can do a stance move, remain in stance if you choose, perhaps, and just do more and more stance moves while perhaps maintaining the armor. Now, that said, the armor presents a question. So when JP hits, it's clear as day, she's armored when he hits her, right? Like, you can see it has the effect. She even takes a little bit of gray recoverable damage after the fact. So that's super armor, indisputable. That's fine. But if we go back to the original trailer and we see, the big old punch in the back of the head, right? We see a different hit spark when Manon connects with her jab. So it's not just the golden armor flash, it's more of like a bluish spark. Maybe that was trailer magic, I don't know, but it's definitely a different effect after getting hit. The PlayStation blog, when they did the whole news roundup, they called this move specifically a counter move, but perhaps this is just another one of her potential attacks from the guard stance. So the big punch, perhaps this is actually a command grab for all we know. I thought it was a counter because PlayStation blog said so, but now maybe it's not. Maybe they got something mistaken about it. With that headbutt and the double fist, we now know she has at least 2 attacks out of this stance, so maybe this is just a third. Time will tell on that front. But either way, she's definitely the super armor character, and this is just one of the ways she will go about it. And as JP demonstrates, one of the best ways to deal with armor is just say, I'm not playing around, and just do his invincible super move as a reversal to get her off him. So past all that, we now see JP's unblockable construct, although this time he misses versus the previous trailer where he connects. So it goes full screen, and basically it tries to grab the opponent. Here from the trailer, it does grab the opponent, and then you just get a nice big old explosion. But here, they got away in time, they jumped out of it. You can't play too passive against JP from full screen because he can grab you from all the way across the screen. Also, here is his drive impact right before he dies. And here is Marisa's round win pose, and she's very excited to say the least. From there, we do see Marisa's basic throw. It's appropriately brutal, I would say. Just kind of dumps you like a piece of trash and puts an end to you. Simple but effective. Next up, we get another example of JP's full screen presence as we get more Psycho Constructs, and one of these is very interesting, this first one right here. As what's going on is it's traveling higher than some of the other ones we've seen, and it's striking downwards. So this could very well be an overhead, something you have to block standing, not crouching. So if he can force you to block overhead from full screen and command grab you effectively from full screen as well, he's going to be fun to deal with. These are some very interesting ranged options besides just the usual I throw fireball, full screen, you block and try to work your way in kind of stuff. JP as a character seems very inventive, and I am definitely here for it. I like what I'm seeing out of this character. Now, past that, it's kind of a bunch of flailing, to be honest, although we're still learning new tidbits here. So Marisa definitely has a lot of target combos, like a lot of these newcomers. Once again, a lot of target combos in the game, and we have this. So it's Marisa just doing crouch heavy punch, which we saw before. However, the difference is we can see one that's faster than the other. So the first one comes out pretty quick, and the second one you can see her fist kind of shaking up before she goes for the swing. So this is effectively confirmation that she can hold her normals. We knew she had the option to hold some of her special moves, but it looks like holding normals is a-okay. Now, it could just be the heavies, right? But still, you have to assume a held normal does more damage, has additional properties, that kind of stuff. So That's interesting. It adds another layer to the character. It also means this button press is probably stand heavy punch, although with a target combo, because we did see that be held in earlier footage. I thought perhaps before it was like an alternate button press for the Gladius move, but guess not. I'm wrong on that one, my bad. And finally, the thing that's blowing up my Twitter right now because you people are friggin' animals, her win pose. Because she picks you up like the big baby you are and walks off with you. So on my Twitter right now, all I'm getting is, big mommy, mama, pick me up mama, death by snoo snoo, all that kind of stuff. But keep in mind, there's potentially an alternate ending here. Because in proud fighting game tradition, instead of death by snoo snoo, it could just be, well, death. Straight up. You gotta account for a lot of the possibilities after all. But suffice to say, I think Capcom with Marisa is capitalizing with the big lady money that they kind of dropped the ball on in Resident Evil 8 with Lady Dimitrescu. So Marisa is here for all of y'all. And our final bit of footage is Honda versus Dhalsim. We have not seen these two in quite a while, so it's refreshing to see them here. There is one unfortunate bit though, because unlike the other two matches, they do not have them on dynamic controls. They have them on classic controls, which means the gameplay is a lot less readable, let's put it that way, a lot more flailing around, because the controller style is not playing the game for you here. So that said, though, we still got some things, and that one right there is a bad one. So Dhalsim can have Yoga Fire and Yoga Flame on the screen at the same time, and Yoga Flame in this game goes out further than like it's ever done before. It's got some really wild reach there. So he controls a lot of the screen. When we talk zoning, his zone of control here is almost the entire lower half of the screen. So I think it'll be safe to say that Dhalsim will remain a threat in Street Fighter 6. And perhaps even more deadly than the zoning potential here is his all-new move, the Yoga Debugger. Because when he bonks you, just everything freaks out. So obviously not intended there to show to the audience. Once again, the game's still months away. We got some time to figure this stuff out. Also, to skip back a second, look at the range on what I'm assuming is heavy Yoga Flame. Man, it's going to be hard to get in against Dhalsim. And yes, in case you were worried, Dhalsim, he retains his teleports. He can teleport on the ground. He can teleport on the air. He has all the options. The only downside is it looks like the hurt box is much more active than it used to be because as you can see here, Honda just slaps him out of the air. In other games, he would have been long gone by now, like with that teleport. But here, he does get bopped. So at least there's a chance to smack him out of this stuff. And yes, he retains his float, his V-skill from 5, and it looks like it's going to be just as annoying as ever. Here we can see the player trying to get 100 hand slap, not quite. Once again, it's classic controls this time here, not the dynamic. And we see Dhalsim's drive impact, and it actually looks really cool. Like his belly extends, and then he kind of blows out all the air into his belly, and then just cranks you with a massive yoga headbutt. The animation is very inventive, if nothing else. And yes, that's Dhalsim winning with air fireball, so we got to do with air fireball on top of everything else. Now, at this point here, there's just a bunch of flailing around. I don't want to skip ahead of the footage, just so you can see it all as it was presented, but, not too much. This, I'm assuming, is Honda's forward heavy kick, just with a new animation. In a moment here, we're about to see Dhalsim's alpha counter. I can't remember the term in Street Fighter 6, but a V reversal also, if you will. And it's wild. Look at this. Just kind of gives you the double hit with the stretchy limbs. The animation in this game is definitely top notch. It's really good. And past that, kind of a lot more jumping at each other. Once again, since there is no dynamic controls, that means the computer's not doing cool stuff for you while you're hitting the buttons. So they're kind of just going everywhere. We can see here, this is Honda's back throw. Leaves the enemy decently close, so that's all right. Now, coming up is something that Honda tends to have, but I'm just happy to see it. And that is his jumping heavy punch, the neutral version, as it allows him some manner of air control. You just jump straight up and then kind of hit a direction with heavy punch and you move in that direction. This is a way he uses to navigate the screen against fireballs, so he can slowly inch forward safely against them. In a lot of games, Balrog also has something similar, and it does remain here in Street Fighter 6. So basically, it's to his benefit to maintain and keep the move. And past that, honestly, it's just more mashing. So this is the least of the three, but still, we learned quite a bit overall, and I'm very happy Capcom did this, even if it wasn't like pro-level presenters. We learned just enough to make it even more tantalizing. Like, I really want to see all the ins and outs of Manon's metal level, like what works with it, like do additional moves give her level ups as well besides just the base command grab. I want to see everything about Marisa's guard state now when she puts up her arms. What are all the moves possible? How does all the armor work? I just want to see more footage of Honda that actually shows them off. I love Honda as a character, and we just haven't gotten much on that way. But yeah, overall, this has all been just a blessing, and I'm happy for it. And my friends, that is the Street Fighter 6 update as it stands for today. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Street Fighter.